Greetings all, Ferrari 601 here. Welcome back to Flight Simulator 2020 and welcome to Keflavik. Yes, we're in Iceland, and what could we possibly be doing here in Iceland? Well, we have a volcano to take a look at. Yes, Fagradalsfjall has been erupting in Iceland since, the middle of March, March 19th. The eruption started there at Geldingadalur, which means literally it means Geldingsdale. What's a gelding and what's a dale? Well, we'll talk a little bit about that as we get going. But we got the Cessna Caravan here on runway 19er, and hopefully we'll be able to find the area where this is happening. I don't think we're going to see any volcanic eruptions here in the sim, but it never hurts to take a look. We did something sort of like this before when we flew into that hurricane. I think it was Hurricane Delta back in the late summer of 2020. That was kind of cool. It was a meteorological event, so we actually did see something there. This is going to be a little bit more tricky to actually find, but if you take a look here on our map, I am expecting to find Geldingadalur basically right, I guess if you want to picture where the airplane is as well, in the middle of the road, down to our 5:30 o'clock position there is where we're going to be seeing this. So we're going to be making a left turn out of here and hopefully finding something that looks somewhat reminiscent of what we've been seeing on the news reports, because it's kind of a cool thing. Let's see here. We are going to have a starter to bring in. We have fuel pump to normal, start. We have got prop RPM. Oil pressure building, oil temperature is building slowly. If the oil pressure to be green or close to it. Bring in some gas. It's the prop feather. Gas. There we go. Right. Oil pressure is into green. ITT is coming up as expected. Turn the starter off. Engine is self-sustaining. That's good. ITT is still going up. Stabilized, just about. Good, good. Got a prop feather out there. Right. So, flaps to our first detent position. Altimeter has been set. I'm guessing we're going to be good here for takeoff. Not seeing the need for any autopilot here. And fuel quantity, pretty good there, equal 550 on both techs. All right. Parking brakes are off. Throttle it up. All right. There's max torque. There's 60 knots. Rotate, get on out of here. Positive rate. Bring our flaps in. No retractable gear here on the Caravan. Let's pull back for some climb power. All right, good enough for me. Right, wait for the radio call. And I'm going to say that our area of interest is going to be right around in this area. It's not going to be terribly far from us. That much I do know. Start a little little bit of a left turn to get us out into the general area. Not too far from here, we should see some areas of interest. Again, I don't think we're going to see any sort of volcanism here in the sim, although it would be mighty cool if we did. Does give you a great idea, though, the sort of topography that we're talking about here in Iceland. Lots of... Roger. Lots of lowlands and then craggy peaks here right across the shoreline, and then of course you get into the inland areas, which can be quite varied. Cross-referencing an external map here, and I'm just looking down at this teeny tiny peninsula that comes down off of the southern coast. Fagradalsfjall needs to be a little bit north and east of there, basically heading a beeline right for the area that I think we're supposed to be looking at. See if we can find anything out here. Now, obviously, with the eruption only beginning on March 19th, I'm not expecting the sim to have kept up with the differences in topography here that have since come about. Obviously, we've seen this grow from a fissure eruption effectively at ground level into something that has created a twin peak vent, both of which are spewing lava night and day, and it looks very spectacular, but it's also a very gentle sort of eruption, nothing explosive. It's not spewing big clouds of ash or anything like that. It's just something really cool to look at, and it's something that I'm pleased to report that the Icelandic Civil Defense Authorities, as well as the Tourism Board, has already decided to capitalize on, because within the first week they had already built a pedestrian path, and I believe that they're working on getting some better vehicular access into the site as well. So before too long, you may well be able to take a tourist bus to Geldingadalur and see Fagradalsfjall erupting, assuming that it still is erupting in the next few months. It's part of the world, and generally volcanism on the whole, it's difficult to predict what these things will do. There had been a swarm of earthquakes and harmonic tremors building in the general area for about the past month before the eruption began. Initially, they were thinking that there could be an eruption in a different part of the country, on another part of the west coast of Iceland, but a completely different mountain was being suspected. They were thinking that it could have been Snæfellsjökull, which actually is the mountain that Jules Verne decided to descend through in Journey to the Center of the Earth. I remember reading that book as a second grader. But here we are in Geldingadalur, which said we were going to talk about what that word means. Gelding is an English word. We don't really use it. It refers to a castrated horse in English, but more globally it can mean just any castrated livestock animal. Dalur means valley. And we actually have an English cognate. It's dale. So Geldingsdale, or more idiomatically, the Valley of the Castrated Animals. So not something particularly nice to listen to, but that is the name that this place has. Obviously, Iceland, when it was first settled in the 700s through about 1000 AD, as far as we know, obviously an exclusively agrarian society, seafaring society as well, but living off of the sea life as well as whatever terrestrial farming they were able to do. So obviously you would have farm animals, and sometimes you would need to do things to the males. But obviously that's where this place gets its name from. So generally, in this area, we've got an erupting volcano. It could well be in this little depression here, which obviously is a depression in the sim, but now there is very much an active eruption going on in here. Hard to say, but you can see where you could stick a volcano in this depression. So I'm not entirely sure that this is it, but I also don't know anything to say that it's not. So it could well be. Some of the hillsides here, they seem to be matching up with what I'm seeing with the live streams from Iceland with remote cameras that people have set up. So it might be, but I don't know enough to be certain. I point a little lower here, you're able to see some more out the windows, at least off to the sides. See if there's any place reasonably flat and wide where we might be able to set this thing down. Good thing about the Caravan is it's a very rugged airplane. It's absolutely designed to be doing operations off runway, dirt runway, things like that. So you'd be able to get it down here if there is a suitable spot. Does not appear to be any settlements in this area, just uncharted wilderness for the most part. It's very cool. We have places that look like this out in the Pacific Northwest, the United States, British Columbia, Canada, even some places in the Northeast United States. You see some of this sort of topography going on, but not actively volcanic like Geldingadalur is. It's a very cool place, and it's a place I didn't know existed until about 2 weeks ago. So learning an awful lot here about volcanism, about the geography of Iceland, and just wanted to take a look. It's an interesting place. And on a different note, if you want to take a look at what English almost looked like, take a look at Icelandic. It's related strongly, but very, very different nowadays. Not sure if we're going to be able to set this down or not. I wish that this were the Caravan Amphibian, as yet unavailable in FS 2020. That would be something that I wouldn't have thought would be a difficult addition, considering this is the Caravan and the Amphibian is effectively the same airplane, but they didn't give it to us. So you're just going to deal with the Icon A5 or whatever it is, which is a terrible aircraft, but it's designed for rich people who have way more money than talent. So then we're left to survey this picturesque landscape from above. It's a very interesting sort of place, and you can see as we start heading farther inland, the topography starts to change yet again. All sorts of mountains and valleys and glaciers and all kinds of things on offer in Iceland. We're not talking about a terribly large place either. This airplane doesn't go very fast. We could bisect the island there from west to east in an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. It's not a big place at all. But it's home to about 300,000 people. It's been settled, as far as we know, since about the 800s AD. And the really cool thing that gets me in a tizzy is the writings that the initial Norse settlers left, that they compiled and left later for us. Native Icelanders can still read them pretty easily. That's how insular this place has been, and how little their language has changed, and comparatively speaking, how little their culture has changed. They've been left alone because they know what they're doing. Another little side fact, Iceland, they are a NATO member. They are the only NATO member that has no standing army. The last military engagement that they were involved in directly as a national force were the Cod Wars in the 60s and 70s, which were against, of all places, the United Kingdom. That was over fishing rights. The Icelanders rammed a couple of British patrol boats, and it was a big to-do. I don't know if anybody was actually killed, but it was a declared war, at least on the Icelandic side. It's quite interesting. Take a look at this little peak. And you can tell that this is a volcanic landscape because these little peaks don't make any sense in the context of plate tectonics in terms of earthquakes or plate collision events. This is volcanic, absolutely. And you can see it has relatively gentle slopes, which would be indicative of this being a shield volcano. You would expect to see eruptions here, which were not very violent, but featured a lot of very hot, very thin lava, not viscous, just the stuff that sort of just bubbles over the top and spills out and builds up a gradual slope under gravity. And that's exactly what we are seeing at Fagradalsfjall this time. It's very cool. Very, very cool. And of course, the reason for Iceland's volcanism is the entire island straddles the mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is one of the largest plate boundaries in the world. It's one of the, well, all plate boundaries are seismically and volcanically active, really, but it's extremely active. The mid-Atlantic Ridge is constantly erupting somewhere, and Iceland tends to be one of the only places where the mid-Atlantic Ridge volcanism actually breaks the surface. Most of it is subsurface underneath miles of ocean, but in Iceland, it all comes to the top, and, well, obviously, the processes that built Iceland have been working for millions of years and will most likely continue to work for millions more years. A little bit of turbulence over the ridge here. It's just a very cool place. Fortunately, no volcanism to see. I'm sure somebody's done an add-on for that already, but I don't have it if it exists. It's a really, really nice thing to see. Nice change of pace out here. Not flying IFR flight plans and zero visibility with a 787 or whatever. It's cool. This is what Flight Simulator is built for. Just being able to go out and take a look at something and say, oh, I see the lay of the land now. That's why we love it. Okay. With that, I guess we're going to head back to Keflavik. Could go to Reykjavik as well. We're not too far, but go back to where we started.
Keflavik Tower, F-Man 601 is 11 miles southeast with uniform to land.
Where do they want me to go?
F-Man 601 Keflavik.
19er, where we took off from.
Enter left downwind runway 19er. Altimeter tree 0.45.
I've got the field in sight way out there.
Make left downwind runway 19er F-Man 601.
Right. So we'll make our way back. Really push the engine here to get a little bit more speed, but very nice. Very, very nice. Say goodbye to Geldingadalur, Fagradalsfjall, and head back. Little fishing villages here as we head back. Get living. That's Njarvik, the little sort of the crook of the land there. That's Njarvik village. Reykjanesbær is just next door to the north relative to us. And obviously, you can see we're starting to get back into some civilization. Not quite yet, but out there, that's some sort of human activity for sure. Some buildings starting to come up sparsely, and then obviously you get toward the airport and we start to get into some proper, almost urbanization. Other thing about Iceland is the population is, well, I mean, for an island, the population is pretty high, 330,000 or so, but it's all concentrated in this area. You have Reykjavik, which is up to our roughly 7 o'clock from this position. And everybody lives there. Very few people, comparatively speaking, live outside the capital zone. Alright, so we've got our runway in sight there. We will just go to turn parallel. We'll slowly bring ourselves in. Start a very gradual descent. Lose a little bit of speed, turn around and turn it into a short final. 347 at 7, pretty good winds.
Cleared to land runway 19er F-man 601.
I was expecting good weather. We've got it. We'll fly out here to this little, I don't know, I'm going to call it a jetty, but it's not a jetty, this little land figure, and we'll turn 90 left and get ourselves on a base leg. I guess you could call that a jetty. Very, very cool. I told you this was going to be a short final. It's about as short as they come. sun sort of peeking through the cloud a little. Very, very pretty. Alright, there's 1,500 feet. Radio altimeter is coming in now at 1350. We have no gear to extend, so we're already good. We'll bring it down to landing flaps. And here comes the pitch up, and here comes the speed reduction. Right, I would call that lined up if I do say so. We are a little high. What's the radio altimeter? 500. $300. $150. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Crosswind there. 10. Settle it in. There we go. Touch. That's reverse thrust. And we'll turn next taxiway, go off to the left.
FMAN 601 exit runway when able.
Yes, yes. Figured that all out by myself. If you want me to go a little bit further down the runway, we will oblige. Got the flaps in. A little bit more straight line speed there. Turnoff is on the way. Wheel brakes in. Burn them up, basically. I'm exiting the runway. You just hold on.
FMAN 601 contact ground on 121.9er.
121.9er FMAN 601.
Alright, I already know where we're going, so we're just going to contact ground for the sake of formality.
Keflavik ground FMAN 601 taxi.
His pronunciation of this is bad. I do not like that.
Taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Sierra 1.
Sierra 1.
Taxiing to general aviation parking using taxiway Sierra 1 FMAN 601.
Cool. Wrap 30. Right, probably scaring the crap out of these ground service guys. But, right, boom. Parking brake set, got it. Very cool. Engine stop, good. Fuel pump off. Beautiful stuff. Gonna turn off the avionics masters and we're gonna get that in-flight thing. No need to worry about that. We'll shut off the battery master. Now the airplane is off. We'll shut all our switches down that we should have done beforehand, but we didn't because we are not following the rules to any extent. And that's about it. So there it is. Caravan back at Keflavik, and we took a look at Geldingadalur and Fagradalsfjall, which is erupting right now. Couldn't see any volcanism here, but evidence of it galore. And that is one of the things that I really, really like about what we're able to do in Flight Simulator is there's no chance in hell that I'm getting to Iceland anytime soon. And by the time I would be able, most likely this eruption is not happening anymore, which is a great shame because it doesn't appear to be hurting anybody and it's just a really cool thing to see. But chances of me being able to see it with my own eyes, not so great. Unfortunately, chances of being able to see it in Flight Simulator is 0, but we can get a very decent sense of what the area looks like and just appreciate the wonderful scenery that Flight Simulator has to offer us and the wonderful scenery that Iceland definitely has to offer us if you are fortunate enough to be able to go, or if you're fortunate enough even to live there, which I assume would be pretty cool. So that's all I've got for you here. FerrariMan601 saying thank you very much for flying with us today. And remember, at F Air, the flight is often your destination.